Welcome back once again to the North American Star League, where we are speaking with Letod and the Cynical Brit Total Biscuit, as well as Andre and Dan. They're here on the set with us. We're going to talk just very, very briefly about Heart of the Swarm, and then we'll jump into our games for the evening, TT1 versus MMA. No, TT1 versus DeMuslim, and MMA versus QXE. Excuse me. So jumping right into Heart of the Swarm, Blizzard very actively balancing the game, working very hard. But even prior to that, John, I just want to ask you, what do you think about Heart of the Swarm? Is it fun? Do you enjoy it? Do you like it in its current form?
Oh god, I'm glad that they brought in more beta players into the ladder. I tell you that for a fact. It's like I was doing my placements, and I came up. I was actually on stream at the time, and I came up against someone with a Korean name, and like, uh-oh, and I thought, no, it's just someone with a fake Korean name, right? Nope, no, it wasn't. It was horrible. I'm still getting over that. That was horrendous. But yeah, I'm glad that they're bringing more players in. But yeah, Heart of the Swarm in general, pretty interesting. They do still need to actually figure out what the hell they're doing with it, I think. I think probably they figured out what they wanted to do with the Zerg units the most, and the Zerg just feels the most well-rounded, to me at any rate. And then with Terran, it made me scratch my head that the Warhound was even there, and it has disappeared, and everyone rejoices, including Terran players, because that unit was just boring, and I don't want to talk balance so much, but what I would say, this is from a lower level perspective. Blizzard always balances with the pros in mind, and rightfully so. But with the Warhound, it almost felt as Terran, like you had to build this thing, otherwise you were going to get absolutely destroyed. So you were very much forced into this really boring situation of, I'm going to open up with one factory, then go two factory. Against Protoss, certainly it was two factory Battle Hellion Warhound, was pretty much impossible to stop if you happen to have about the same skill level as your opponent. So it was just a generally boring, bad unit that made for an A-move kind of style, and I'm glad that it's gone.
From a professional commentator point of view, Total Biscuit, what things in Heart of the Swarm make you most excited about casting that game?
I'm intrigued to see what they can do with Vipers. I think Vipers are very, very exciting indeed. I'm glad that the units that are being put in are also shaking up the PvZ matchup, because, quite frankly, I'm getting a little bit sick of the late game state of Protoss v Zerg, because it, generally speaking, plays out the same way, to the point where a lot of Protoss are now having more success by avoiding this entirely, by killing the Zerg before it can get to that point. So since we will be seeing a lot of PvZ in future, it would be nice to see a little bit more variety in that, and I think that the additions, particularly what they've just done with the Oracle, is going to make things very interesting indeed.
Cool. I'm going to pass that kind of line of thought on to Kevin and Todd, our two kind of Protoss guys in-house. How do you feel about the changes Heart of the Swarm introduces to playing Protoss, and specifically to the Protoss versus Zerg metagame?
I think it's an add-on, so obviously a lot of stuff is added into the game. And at first I thought it was really silly, like it was so imbalanced when I first started playing it. But now the more I play it, the more I feel like in a few months or years, we're going to look back at StarCraft and think like, how did we used to play this game? Like without Heart of the Swarm, it's going to be exactly like StarCraft and Brood War. Like once you play Brood War, you can't play StarCraft anymore. So that's how I'm starting to feel, and I just think it's going to be so diversified. Like it's going to take a long time to figure out the game, and we're going to have really entertaining games with the new units. Some of them allow for really funny stuff to happen, interesting stuff. Some are us with Protoss, with the Oracle and stuff like that. So it should be really nice.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. When I just started playing it, I was very disappointed with the Protoss units. I felt the Tempest was kind of useless. The Oracle seemed too expensive to me, and I still felt it died too quick, and it didn't really do, or it didn't really justify its cost, no matter how many times you entomb the minerals. Mothership Core, well, I thought it was a nice add-on, but I felt Recall took too much energy anyway, and I also felt it delayed Protoss stack still way too much, and I still actually think it delays Protoss stack a bit too much. If you want to hit timings, 100 gas for a Protoss, Andre can confirm, that's so much.
Dude, that is 25 seconds if you're on 2 gas.
Yeah.
That is way too much time.
I mean, 25 seconds, man, that's a full rotation of drones basically, so you can have too many units out.
Yeah.
But right now I'm starting to figure out a couple of additional timings. Didn't really experiment yet with the new Tempest, but obviously it has potential, and I think, like Todd says, it's going to be kind of like how I played Warcraft 3. I started off Reign of Chaos, then went into Frozen Throne. And then once you play Frozen Throne, you look back and like, was this game actually serious? I couldn't even heal up my units. What's the point of saving units? So I think we're going to get used to it. It's all going to implement in the game. We're going to live with it. Right now, I'm still not super excited about Protoss. Like, I kind of wish I was a Zerg player and I could mess around with Vipers, Swarm hosts, and that just seems more fun.
But the latest patch was really good. Like, big thumbs up for Blizzard. They've been listening to all the advice they've been getting on the forums. Actually, you know the new spell for the Oracle? I heard Grubby suggested that himself, and that they added it from like his idea.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah,
Well,
spoiler alert, Grubby is making more suggestions to Blizzard than anybody
Grubby
else.
is actually balancing the game.
There's
In
there's
favour
actually a
of
forum
Protoss.
where the pros can post. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, yes, he's balancing it in favor of Protoss. Yeah, who would have seen that one coming?
There's a forum where the pros can post, and as I guess professional commentators, we get to go in there and post and read about it and see what people are saying. And Grubby is making a lot of big sweeping suggestions, and Blizzard's listening to some of them.
I'm actually a little bit sad because I really enjoyed that vision spell from the Oracle. It was basically like scanning Terran
You mean the
space,
map
but then,
hack?
or yeah, it was basically like map hack. You fly in, the thing is incredibly fast. You plant it on hatchery.
But do you know what the new thing does?
Yeah, I
Oh,
looked
it's
at
10
it.
times better, bro.
What does it do?
It
Okay.
puts a prevent spell. Like
It
if it's
prevents
anything.
Yeah, yeah,
is,
it's this spell. Yeah,
Your
that's
mind
right.
will be blown when you use it, man. You're gonna forget all about that map.
Is it an area of effect or a single target?
Yeah, it's like Guardian Shield. I think it's area of effect.
So
it's crazy. It's good.
EMP doesn't affect you.
Ah,
Fungal
so
growth doesn't
so you
affect
do it
you.
before the battle.
Probably the
Nice.
biggest thing.
Look at Kevin's facial expression.
Not bad.
That face, that smile says it all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grubby.
Now, can you still abduct in that or no?
No. You
I
can't.
heard it even cancels
cancels
Graviton
abduct.
Beam.
Yeah, like you can do
Yeah.
it simultaneously.
It,
so that
it
kinda-
just basically makes all
Okay.
effects not apply. It's very,
Yeah, it's
very
very
strong.
powerful.
Oh, God.
Very strong. So
Really
but it
powerful.
does change the role of the Oracle a bit. It now becomes a part of your core army versus being a harass unit.
Yeah, but I like it because it's kind of outside but inside the core army, right? Like it's still built on the ball, which I think every single race actually gets an advantage somewhere in their DPS capabilities. But Protoss, it just felt like, okay, well, they're trying to make units that are operating outside the ball, but they're just completely,
Yeah.
I almost cursed, backwards. They're completely backwards. So I like finally they're like, okay, well, I guess we actually need to give them a little bit more substance. This is going to do it. I think they still need something for air, though, like without a doubt. They need something for air that's going to be better than the Tempest and the Carrier. I shouldn't say better, but
We don't need
better
anything for
options.
hair. We have the spell cancellation thing. That Colossus ball ready to be moved, man.
now you just A move and then instead of force fields, you're just clicking
You
that
press
thing,
one
man.
button.
It's just like a tunnel of
Yeah.
untargetable stuff, man.
But it's only 5 seconds and it costs a lot, I know.
We're going to have one final thought on Heart of the Swarm, and then we're going to wrap up our little show here, guys. And that is the Carrier. You mentioned it, Andre. The Carrier is back in its StarCraft 2 form in the Heart of the Swarm beta. For me personally, I feel like the StarCraft 2 Carrier is not good enough if it's going to be a unit that's built and that's used. So I want to ask you guys what y'all's thoughts are. Are you happy that the Carrier is in the game? Do you think anything needs to change for the Carrier? And you know, where do you see that unit fitting into the Protoss army in the future?
I actually
Well-
think the comment. Sorry, Toto, basically go ahead.
No problem. I was just going
I
to say,
think the carrier is kind of
Well,
fine.
1 sec. Toto
Easy,
Biscuit is
easy
go.
Letod.
The only one point that I want to bring up before the experts actually talk about it is that there was a great video actually from Tyler earlier today, which did a direct comparison between the Brood War carrier and the StarCraft 2 carrier. And the point that he made there was that the StarCraft 2 carrier is just completely unmicroable. It's a dull unit with a very low skill cap that doesn't actually fulfill the role that it was designed to do. And putting it back in the game in its current form doesn't make a huge amount of sense, even though the paradigm shifts as a result of these extra units and the changes with Heart of the Swarm. So it would come to the point where the old method of Brood War Micro, which allowed you to actively change targets with the interceptors while being outside of the normal attack range, which was 8 range for the carrier, and I think that's the same in StarCraft 2 as well. It allowed you to change targets within your leash range, which is much wider. That was what made the carrier in Brood War so good. Since you can't do that in StarCraft 2, either you've got to change the role of the carrier, or you've got to bring that back and allow for that degree of micro once again.
All right, Letod. So I guess the question now becomes the Brood War carrier with its better range and its more micro ability versus the StarCraft 2 carrier as an A-move unit. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure. I don't have much experience in Brood War, but I always thought that the carrier was fine in StarCraft 2, I mean. it's a late game unit. You know, like you can't have units that are strong in every step of the game. There is some units that are good in early game, mid game, and then late game. The carrier, for me, is a unit that's pretty good late game. The only big problem with it is the build time. 120 seconds is way too long. I think maybe they should have just reduced that a little bit, and then we wouldn't need Tempest.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump in with a small Letot story. Because Letot just said that he doesn't have a lot of experience in Brood War. As many of you people know, that Todd and me used to cast the GUM TV World Invitational in Korea in 2009, I believe it was. We lived together for a while. We had a show twice a week, and it was very fun. During that time, Todd played quite a bit of Brood War, actually, while I was at his place. And he kind of stopped with StarCraft, and I mean with Warcraft 3, and he went into Brood War, played a bit casually. And it was all fun and games. Until one day we went to the GUM TV studio, and we actually had our own little dedicated observer. So basically like the Korean version of Adabisi back then, working for GUM TV. And the show was supposed to start at 9 p.m. and we arrived there like way on time. We were there around 8. And Todd says to this one guy, he's like, let's play some Brood War. And Todd, of course, the competitive Todd as always, they start playing a game. This Korean is kind of chilling, and he's just completely wiping the floor with Todd. Todd is getting a little bit more mad, and he says again, and it's like 8:25. And they're like, yeah, but we started 45 minutes. Todd is like, doesn't matter again. So they play another game, and this Korean just completely destroys Todd. It's like 8:50, and like we're about to get ready. And they're like, okay, get on the set. Todd's like, no, you think I'm done again? And everybody starts sweating and stuff. They were afraid. And this guy suddenly plays like crap, and suddenly Todd wins. I kind of wonder, Todd.
Actually, I said I didn't have much experience in Brood War, but that I meant as Protoss and with carriers. I played Terran in Brood War, and this guy was really good. He didn't say a word. I was like, hey, let's play, man. I was like really arrogant about it, and he was like, oh, okay, we can play. Like he didn't say a word. It crushed me.
And you chose Terran, man. That's the Protoss of StarCraft 2. True story.
You know, I lost to a lot of Protosses in Brood War. That's what motivated me to play Protoss. You know?
I know, man. I lost to a lot of Protosses back then too. they were that really good.
Guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I do want to take a second to thank Total Biscuit for coming on and talking to us. John, do you have anything you'd like to say just to the general viewing public right now?
Keep watching NASL Season 4. It's absolutely fantastic, no question about that. And if you want to watch my content, check out youtube.com/cynicalbrit. And my Twitter is twitter.com/TotalBiscuit.
Thank you, Total Biscuit, for coming on and talking to us. Letod, final thoughts.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure to talk about a little bit of everything, troll a little bit. And next time, maybe I share some Rotterdam stories. Stories.
Can't wait for next time. We're going to have a very short commercial break. When we come back, our first game of the day will be TT1 versus the Muslim. Don't go anywhere. StarCraft 2 starts after this.